Welcome back to the Stoner's Jesus Show, everyone. Live on the old video chat, we have Shuli, the man himself. You may know Shuli's name, of course, from his many years on the Howard Stern Show. And I'm sure he talks a lot about that on other shows and his shows and stuff like that. But I'm more interested in kind of what your life's been like since you left the Stern Show. How has your routine changed now that you're no longer there?
First of all, thank you for having me. Number one,
No
big
problem, man.
fan, big fan. Uh, how has it changed? Well, I wake up crying a lot more.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. I tend to just sit at the edge of my bed and just hug my pillow for a while and rock back and forth and just say, "What if? What if?" Um, no, listen, man, it's been an adjustment. It was 15
Mm.
years of my life.
Yeah.
It was my entire life. I gave everything for 15 years. But you get to a point where, even your dream job starts to feel like a job, I guess.
Mm.
And, stuff changed and the whole vibe and energy there changed. And I feel like I changed with this pandemic and it didn't necessarily fall in line with everybody else's way of thinking, but that wasn't the reason why I left. I just left because it had changed so much and just wasn't fun for me anymore. It had nothing to do with him. It's management mostly. Uh, you know you know how corporate management is. They like to see people pedal. Doesn't even matter if there's a chain on the fucking bike. Just keep moving your feet. So for me, it's like I'd rather actually get somewhere than just pedal on a bike with no chain. And it was just frustrating. It was Everything else in my life was great. We found this beautiful home. We moved to a really nice place. Um, the only thing that was bumming me out was work. So I had always wanted to try my own um, thing, and I've worked with so many great people, not only Howard, but guys like Scott Farrell, guys like Jay Thomas. Each of them taught me so much in radio, and my kind of thank you to all of them is to do a podcast where I implement all of these things that I've learned and kind of run with the ball, man. These Yodas I had in my life, I got to do something with it.
Absolutely. Talking about doing your own show and stuff. Obviously, you have your own stuff going on Patreon. People watching, you can see all the pertinent information scrolling on the bottom. I did want to talk to you about the BS show with the
Yeah.
legendary Bob Levy on channelattitude.com. What kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, crazy shit can people expect if they check you out on there?
BS show is great. It's through a gentleman by the name of Mr. Vince Russo. If there's any wrestling fans out there, you know Vince Russo's name because he was the guy who um, helped create or was the driving force behind the Attitude Era in the WWE.
Absolutely.
Their highest ratings, the biggest stars in the company. It was all tits and ass. Then he went to WCW, and you started seeing the Whack Pack involved in wrestling. Nicole Bass, Beetle, Fred, High Pitch. That's all Vince Russo. Vince Russo in the wrestling world, a fan is called a mark. So Vince
Yeah.
Russo has been a stern mark for as long as I have. So when he found out that I was doing my own thing, and then that I had reconnected with Bob because we were on the outs for many years, he is an old school fan, and he came to us and he's like, "I've always appreciated your guys' comedy. I've always loved it. I think you guys are fantastic together. Would you be up for doing a show on my channel?" And while I do a show with Bob once a week and a few other gentlemen, Brent Hatley, Mike Morse, Mark Burns, it's called The Miserable Men Show. We did it 13 years ago on Sirius. We were the only show on Howard's other channel, 101, that went from 1 hour to 4 hours. So we were doing legit radio. And then we stopped doing it. We had an ugly Oasis breakup. Uh, Bob being one half of the Oasis and us being the other half. So it was Bob against the, and we didn't talk for years. And so when I started doing my own podcast, one of the things I definitely wanted to do was see if that that chemistry is still there. You can't teach it, you can't buy it. It's just natural, right? And while we do that, I really enjoy doing the BS show because it's just Bob and I. And I walk away every episode with tears in my eyes, laughing. And it's not necessarily at him, every time. Um, he's one of the best comics, man. If you ever see Bob live, he destroys. He's so funny. And so I'm glad to be working with him, and I'm glad that there's a home like Channel Attitude for us, where we don't have to worry about what we say, what we're talking about. They gave us free reign. They go, you do you, don't worry about shit. This is the home of free speech, and so we really tested that shit. And so far, they're right. We have no issues.
Yeah, I didn't know about you and Bob being estranged. I knew Bob obviously was cut off from the Stern Show for many years. I haven't listened to the Stern Show, and I was a huge fan for many years. But it's been
Mm.
kind of around the time Artie left, I kind of like drifted away from it. But the serious years and the years before that, because you all were on here in Cincinnati for a while, and but I had no idea that you and Bob hadn't talked for years. I'm assuming that of course was Bob's fault.
Well, yeah, I think it had a little bit to do with Bob, a little bit to do with Klonopin, a little bit with Xanax, a lot with Absolute Vodka. Bob was not in a great place at that time, and when you're in those places, you tend to feel like the people that are it's weird, the people that have always been in the corner with you, that have always been by your side through good, through bad, those now become your enemies. And it was just something that at the time I had my first kid born. Like, I don't have time for this shit, and I just cut ties with Bob. He cut ties with me. We didn't speak for over a decade.
Wow.
So yeah, it was really. And you can the Miserable Men Show is on YouTube as well. There's a channel, The Miserable Men Show, on YouTube, and you can watch a bunch of the episodes we've been doing. It's a lot of fun. Right now it's just on Patreon, at The Miserable Men Show on Patreon. But we're planning on putting out podcast episodes again shortly, because the company we were with earlier got very scared when they heard the show. so so we just went to Patreon only, but the show's been doing great. We're having a lot of fun. It's wild. It's no holds barred. So it's fun working with Levy again. It's that's the coolest thing about doing all this is, I think of something the day before, and a day or 2 later, I can do it. Like, I don't have to check with anyone, I don't have to run it up the flagpole, I don't have to send out an email, and it's like, give me a fucking break, man. What happened to, the organic nature of comedy? It's one of the greatest gifts of comedy is the on the fly, come up with something. It's such a challenge, it's such a skill, and all the people I've worked with throughout the years had that skill, and so that's what I love. That's what I try to do is you can only plan so much, but you got to leave room for shit to just happen, and be ready to react to it, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, everyone has like a podcast nowadays, but the technology that allows us to do what we do without any filters or any bosses or anything like that has just been absolutely amazing. It's something I've always wanted to do, and when the technology became available to do podcasts and stuff like that, I I jumped right in. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, 10 years ago I make this move. My only logical move is to get another job in a radio station somewhere.
Yeah,
But now you have this ability as a broadcaster and as a comic to, build your own audience. Like, I tell people, when I started doing stand up, the way you advertise for a show was flyers. You put
mm,
flyers on the car, right? And we did it so much that there was a ratio that we had in our, like, if we put out 1,000 flyers, 10 tickets will sell. Like, that was the ratio, right? With podcasts, you've now taken oh, I hope this car is a fan of comedy, to out of the equation. And now what you have is, if people find your podcast and they subscribe to it and they listen to it, when you announce you're coming to town, they're coming. Like, it is, every car in that parking lot is there to see you, right? So that's a very different approach to promoting comedy. It's a very different approach to building audiences. There are podcasts out there that people have no idea what they are. Haven't They're not household names. They're not the Joe Rogan Experience, but they come to town and they do a comedy club and they sell out the whole weekend. There's an audience there that follows and supports you now in a way that's never been in comedy, which is pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, Obviously, we love cannabis here. I've, built my whole gimmick around it, as you can
Okay.
see. It's not very subtle with everything going on behind me. In any case, how did your journey with Mary Jane, if you will, how that begin?
I was very anti. I wasn't a jock, but I loved playing sports and athletics when I was in school. When I was like in high school, um, I have two brothers. I have a middle brother and I have an older brother. Both are older. I'm the youngest, but the middle brother was a hippie and he was a stoner, and I knew that, and I didn't like it. Wasn't a fan. And
Mhm.
then I get out of high school and I moved to Sedona, Arizona, with a buddy of mine who born and raised in South Central LA, former gangbanger, one of my best friends, Kevin Lee. We decide we're sick of LA. We want to go live with our buddy who's living out in Sedona. And we go and we get jobs out there at Burger King and we get a place. I'll never forget our first place was 2 bedroom, 2 bath, $310 a month rent. And it was a shithole. It was near a river. But it was ours. We loved it. The only rule I had with Kevin is I said, no smoking weed in the house. No doing drugs in the house, right? So fast forward a couple months, bills are starting to pile up. I'm stressing out. I go into Kevin's room to have a talk with him. And when I open the door, he puts his hands he goes like that, and he just freezes. And I don't think anything of it, and I just start talking to him, and I'm going, dude, this is fucking crazy. I'm like, our bills are piling up. I don't know what's gonna happen. And he's just looking at me like Bill Murray in the cheeseburger sketch. He's just nodding at me and staring at me. And then finally I go, do you have anything you want to add to this? And he opens his mouth and this cloud of smoke that he's been holding in comes out. And I'll never forget, I look at him and I go, for all the shit that's going on right now, this guy's really calm and relaxed. And I'm fucking wound so tight. What the hell? And I just, out of the blue, I just go, give me that shit. Now I try it. And I don't know what it was like for you, but the first time I smoked, I didn't get high. I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
And then like a couple nights later, we had a few people over and he breaks out the weed. And I said, all right, this time I'm gonna take like 3 or 4 hits. Like I want this to work. So sure enough, I do like 3 or 4 hits. I'm sitting there, I don't feel anything. And then all of a sudden I'm just like, are my legs still attached to my body? Like I wasn't sure. I see them, but I don't feel anything. And I said, I got to try and stand up. And then I remember my next thought was, well, if my legs feel like this, what the fuck does my face look like? Because my face feels weird as shit. And I get up and I walk into the bathroom. I shut the door. I turn on the light. I take one look in the mirror and I start to laugh uncontrollably at the way I look, at the way I feel. And I just thought this is the funniest fucking thing that I've ever done. I love it. And and that was the beginning of my journey, man, was I was just like, all right, I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah, I always
And
ask.
by the way, in Arizona at that time in Sedona, zero tolerance, meaning a seed is a felony if they find it in Arizona. At that time the weed laws were bananas. But everybody in Sedona got high. Everybody. It's all red rock mountains. People had grows up there. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, I always ask people when they come on who smoke cannabis if they got high their first time, and it's about 50-50 as far as if they felt anything. I didn't feel anything the first night that I smoked, but the next night I smoked the exact same shit and I was high as a kite. And well, the rest is
Yeah.
history,
The
as they
the
say.
rest is us chasing that first fucking one, man. It really is.
Yep. You have to settle for at least the first high of the day. Is
Yeah,
It
yeah.
kind of gets you there, but then yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's nostalgic. You're like, "I remember that song."
Um, so if I ask you, in your history of cannabis, the highest you've ever been, is there like a specific incident or event that comes to mind?
Yeah, there was, funny enough, Arizona, when it came to an end, I was leaving before my roommates were. I had an opportunity to go back to Vegas. I felt like Arizona was a dead end for me. My roommates had stopped working. I was paying for everything. I said, "You know what? I'm gonna go move back in with my folks and let them pay for everything for a little while. I'm done with this shit." So we had a goodbye party, and a bunch of people came over. A bunch of people brought weed. We just had punch bowls filled with joints. Like, it was obscene.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember being so high that I crawled on my hands and knees into my friend Kevin's room, and he had at that time, I think we had Sega Genesis. I don't even know, maybe a PlayStation, but they were playing Madden. And I remember walking in, crawling in and looking at the TV, and I go, "The Eagles beat the Giants?" I'm looking at the ticker on the bottom and I'm going, "Are you fucking kidding me, dude? The Eagles suck this year. How did the Giants lose to them?" And I'll never forget, my friend Kevin looked over and he goes, "Hey man, you fucked up, man. This is a motherfucking video game. What's wrong with you?" And I just turned around and slowly crawled back out. And I remember periodically waking up on the floor of our place as people were stepping over me, leaving, wishing me good luck on my next chapter of my journey.
Nice.
So I would say that's up there. That's yeah, that's up there.
Do you have any favorite nowadays? Of course, everybody knows about strains and stuff. Do you have any favorite strains or any go-to strains or anything that you enjoy more than others?
I mean, I got to be honest. I'm a Jew, so any strain I don't have to pay for is my favorite. Uh, You know, I love I'm not like one of those. It's the thing that it's a double-edged sword. The dispensaries, while I love that it's recreational,
Mhm.
medicinal, whatever it is in your state, I love that. But it's turning us into weed douchebags. You
Mm.
understand? There's no difference between us and fucking, somebody collecting baseball cards now. It's like we used to be different from all these people. Now I got to wait in a 45 fucking minute line in a place that reeks of weed, yet everybody's upset. Explain that one to me. Explain that. How nobody has any fucking patience in a room that reeks of weed. And then the reason why I'm waiting 45 minutes is cuz some asshole's got to put a jeweler's loop in and go, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, look at the purple hairs on that one. Look at the crystallization. Look at the percentage, asshole. The highest the percentage, get it. That's the only experimentation you need to do. Oh, this one's 28. This one's 32. I'm gonna go with the 32. I don't need a fucking monocle. I don't need a jeweler's loop. I'm not the fucking guy from Monopoly. It's there's an art form to texting a guy or paging somebody, meeting them at a spot, fucking the slick handoff. Hey, shake his hand. Here's $100. Boom. Here's a cup of empty soda with a sack in it. Thanks. It's a whole process. It's an art form. It's gone. It's gone. Now it's just people going, "Yeah, I was wondering if you have a sativa hybrid." Get the fuck out of here. Go roll the dice in life with weed. That's what we did. We bought an eighth once and found a tooth in it. It wasn't ours. It wasn't the dealers. I don't know where it came from, but you know what we did? We threw the fucking thing out and kept rolling joints. That's what you do. If you love what you do, then fucking do it. Pisses me off.
A lot of kids these days, they don't know about just trying to the struggle of trying to find it, and then you weren't asking the dealer what kind of strains he had. You just asked him if he had
No.
weed. I got weed. You either want to
Yeah.
buy it or you don't.
We spent longer de-seeding the fucking thing and de-stemming it than smoking it. I
Yeah,
mean, we would have a mound of brown on the table. Not green, brown, and we couldn't be happier. We had to smoke the whole ounce to get high and had the biggest headache for 3 days after that, but we still did it.
that's right. They don't know
Yeah.
the struggle of buying a bag of like of the brickweed, and you know it's the brickweed because you got the corner of it.
That's right. Yeah, it's all flat. Yeah. Yeah. So it looks like it's been ran over by a fucking steamroller.
And then a lot of days you couldn't find any. I mean, I still live in a black market area,
Right.
and it's not as hard as obviously as it used to be. But there was days back in the days you would go to 10 different people. You got a joint for sale, you got anything at all, and some days they didn't.
And I get it. Listen, the argument could be made the other way too, which is, dealers are annoying, they're flaky, you got to listen to fucking demo tapes when you go pick up sacks and shit. Like you're now involved in their lives a little too much. I get that. I get that. But listen, they're risking their lives. They're facing danger every day.
That's
What are you
right.
gonna you gonna be a dickhead to a soldier? No, a soldier's risk is he's a soldier too. He's a soldier of the streets.
That's right.
Who knows who he's dealing with to bring you that fucking sack? I mean, come on, man. You got show some. I always say, man, in New York during the pandemic, every fucking night they would 7 o'clock they would go out on the balcony or the windows and they would clap for the first responders and they would bang pots and pans to say thank you to all the healthcare workers risking their lives during COVID, and I thought it was beautiful. But where's our thank you to the weed dealers, right? They
Right.
didn't my guy didn't stop during the pandemic. My guy worked twice as hard.
Yeah.
Where's
More.
his Yeah, where's his I'll tell you where it is. Every day at 4:20, I would open my window in honor of him, and I would just do the stoner laugh. I would just go every day for a minute at 4:20. I got my friends to do it, and that was our way of saying thank you to, Smokey. So we love you, Smokey. Shut up.
Support your local weed dealer.
Please. It's an art form. It's a lost art form, man. It's like calligraphy. Keep that shit alive.
Obviously, if people are not familiar with your years on the Stern Show, you spent a lot of time with the Whack Pack.
Mm.
Do you have any great weed incidences with them? I know a lot of them were love to partake of the
Yeah.
Mary Jane. Did you do a lot of smoking with the Whack Pack?
Yeah, not all of them smoked, but the ones who smoked definitely smoked with me. I got high pitch Eric Stone for the first time years ago in Vegas. Yeah. And then I got a call about 40 minutes later from him, and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so fucking high. My head feels like it's 400 pounds." And I go, "That's because it is 400 pounds, Eric." And I go, "Are you all right?" He says, "I just got to run some water over my head." So we get off the phone. 10 minutes later, I get a call back from him. "I'm not doing good, man. Listen, I need ribs." And I go, "What?" "I need baby back ribs." And I'm like, "Yeah, Eric, this is called the munchies. Just slow down, sit tight, you'll be fine." Um, now Eric's a fucking everyday pot smoker. Now, Beetle was another guy that I smoked with, but it was a little different. Beetle had smoked for a while, so he was a vet. He knew the deal. Um, but my rule was when I'm done smoking this joint, then I'm passing it to you because there's no passing back. I love you, but I don't know what the fuck's going on over there, and I don't know if it's transmittable. You know, so like I'm gonna hit this, and then you're gonna hit it, and then he'd be like, "You want it, Julie?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good, buddy. You kill that shit, man." And I'll tell you the thing I love the most about it. Here's another double-edged sword. It was the funniest and scariest moment of getting high with a whack packer is Beetle and I are getting stoned. We're in a hotel room. We flipping through the TV. Talladega Nights is on. Will Ferrell. I leave it on. This part happens. That wasn't like a visual joke. It was a verbal joke. And I'll never forget Beat and I both laughed at the same exact time. And it sobered me up instantly because I look over and I go, "All right." I'm doing math in my head now. I'm going, either the weed brought me down to his level or the weed brought him up to my level. but I feel like we shouldn't be at the same level at any point, you know? Like, and he would just get stoned and just tell stories as if they were real and they were true and he was there. You know, we once put on ESPN Classic, Ali Frazier, and he's telling me, and I'm not talking about, like, for, like, 30 seconds, I'm talking for, like, 15 minutes. He's explaining to me how he trained both Frazier both, Ali and whatchamacallit? Fuck, what's his name? The big fighting Zaire, Foreman, yeah.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
he trained both Ali and Foreman at the same time. And then if a movie's on, he hasn't seen, but he's gonna tell you what's coming up next, and he's like, watch this. He gonna fuck her up, then he gonna shoot him, and then and it's like a Hallmark Christmas movie. None of that shit's happening, but it's endlessly entertaining. It's one of the reasons why I loved rooming with him. The other reason is nobody else wanted to, and I was like, hey, how about we don't leave a mentally challenged dwarf on his own this weekend in Seattle and Portland? How about one of us fucking jump on the grenade and keep an eye on him? So that was my gig.
You still keep in touch with any of them these
Yeah,
days?
I talked to all of them. It's I do this joke, but I say, I've told Gary the retard 17 times I've resigned. I don't think he gets it. I don't know if he understands what's going on. And Wendy took the news hard, and then she saw a squirrel, and I didn't hear from her after that. So, no, I still talk to her. I had a phone call with Patricia. Patricia. I talked to her yesterday. Um, I talk to High Pitch from time to time. Marianne is, you talk about my work with the Whack Pack. That woman was essential in helping me sift through, who had issues. She was a great source for me as far as like, oh, Jeff's pissed at Eric. Eric's pissed at this one.
Mm.
This one got arrested. She knows everything. She's the den mother of that troop. So I love Marianne to death. She's such a good soul. I love them all, man. They're family. Those people. I spent literally the last 15 years. I spent more time with that show and the Whack Pack than my own family.
Yeah, just so many hours of incredible entertainment. I've said before, the Stern Show at its peak was probably the greatest form of entertainment that's ever existed. There was nothing better.
I agree, man. And I know a lot of people complain nowadays, but to quote the wise soul that is Jackie Martling, even the worst blowjob is still a pretty good blowjob. You know what I mean? So, listen, is it the one you grew up on? No. But do you have to be a dickhead about it? Not really. You can just choose to not listen, or you can choose to listen and wait for those moments to come, because they do pop up every now and then. I get it. I'm with you. I grew up watching Carson. I grew up listening to Stern. Stern was the first reality show out there, in my opinion. Nobody was yelling at their bosses like this guy was. Nobody was doing press conferences and shitting on the town he was coming to. Like, nobody was doing that. So, yeah, like, I get it, man. Listen, I had a great run there. It was a dream. I've a fan for many years before I ever set foot as an employee into that place. So, to be given the opportunity to work with those people, and not only that, but to turn a 1 week audition into 15 years, into finding a wife, having a family. All this amazing shit came from that one opportunity, an opportunity that he had no business giving me based on my credentials and qualifications. But here's what he knew. He knew I was passionate about the show. He
Mm.
knew I would give my all to that job if given the chance. And really, it's a brilliant thought process, because who's going to work harder for you and longer than a fan of what you do, right? So it wasn't a job for us, for me, anyways. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but for me, it didn't feel like a job. But I always said the minute it did, I'm out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
ShalomShuli.com. Shalom Shuli on Twitter. Various other
Instagram, Shalom Shuli. I got a bunch. I'm getting back on the road these next 3 months. I'm doing. I don't know when this comes out, but Friday, December 10th, I am in Baltimore. I have 2 shows. Saturday, December 11th, Vienna, Virginia. I got 1 show at the Jam and Java. And then January 8th is a big show out in Tampa, Side Splitters Comedy Club. It's a Saturday night, January 8th. I'm doing a meet and greet and cookout during the day that
Oh,
Saturday with our new sponsor, Rustic Cuts, a meat delivery company out of Iowa. They are driving the Shuli Show truck down from Iowa to Tampa to grill and sell some shit to some people out there. So come down, hang. My co-host and producer Iso is going to be at the gig. One of our shoes team members. Now, the shoes team is my own little whack pack that I've found since leaving. Owen is going to be there, plus a few other. Brent Hatley's going to be there. And I spoke to a certain tan individual yesterday who said they will be there as well. But I don't necessarily want to promote that because you never really know what you're going to get. So, in theory, listen, if she doesn't show up, her voice will be there. Let me put it to you that way. So,
there you go.
a lot of fun stuff coming up. ShalomShuli.com is the website to get your tickets. Yeah.
Do that shit. Go get it done. Shuli, thank you, man. Been a fan for a long time. Appreciate you coming on the show and taking the time.
My pleasure, dude. Thanks for having me on. I'm sorry we went back and forth until we figured out the right time frame, but you
Happens a
know,
lot.
good things come to those who wait, my friend.
That's right. Seeking you
So,
shall, find, as I'm fond of saying.
yeah, man, we got to have a sesh sometime. I got to come
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Where are you in the Natty?
Yeah. Cross river from Cincinnati.
Okay. All right. I'll
Where
start
you live.
setting something up. We'll do our own little meet and greet. Me and the stoner Jesus.
Hell yeah. Look forward to it.
Sounds good, buddy. Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me. Have a good one.
No problems. Thanks, Shuli.
Later.